Hello and welcome to another look at E3. Taking a good old week off, a couple weeks off on it, to really get our feelings down together and look at the Sony Conference. I know I started this intro completely different, but I hope you enjoy. So the main thing we're going to look at with the Sony Conference here is going to be different. There's a couple reasons for this. The Sony Conference was not only the Sony Conference. They showed off things and announced things that weren't only shown off during their presentation. See, they started it a little bit early, and that's actually what I'm going to be showing here, is they sat down and talked about different games. Now, and like what they might show, what they're going to show, stuff like that. So they showed off the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which of course is a remaster of Crash 1 through 3, and what can I say? It's Crash Bandicoot. It's gonna be good. They then showed off Hidden Agenda, a new game by Supermassive, the guys behind Until Dawn. Like, it was a new game by them, and they announced it and showed it off completely off of their regular conference. Honestly, it was weird. They then showed off a game, Matterfall, Everybody's Golf, the new Everybody's Golf game. They're really fun arcade golf games. I like golf games. It's kind of weird. Then they showed more for Gran Turismo Sport. They showed that Superhot VR is in fact coming to PlayStation 4. They showed Tropico 6 trailer, and then showed that Undertale is actually coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita. Honestly, a lot of that was really cool, and none of it was shown during their actual conference. That's why I wanted to talk about it now. It was a lot of really cool games and stuff that just didn't get shown at the conference and were just all shown beforehand, which to me is a little weird, honestly. I feel like a lot of those would be more important, like Gran Turismo especially. I wanted to see more about it, wanted to see more about its Rallycross stuff, wanted to see more Gran Turismo at the conference than I actually ended up seeing, but oh well. Anyways, now to really get into the heart of the conference. They kicked it off with some weird musical instrument playing into the Uncharted Lost Legacy. Pretty much, it's the same situation as most DLC like this, where the DLC got too big, and now it's its own game. That's it. They showed off some gameplay stuff for it afterwards, but all they really showed was a story trailer during the actual E3 presentation. And that's nothing new. They then showed Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds, a new expansion for Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm sure everyone who enjoyed and played that game is really excited for. It was a fantastic, highly rated PlayStation game that shipped many more consoles because it was exclusive. Now, that is one thing I will say. The Sony Conference had a lot of exclusives. Honestly, it didn't have much in the way of new, but it had so many exclusives. They're just knocking it out of the park. But I digress. There was Horizon DLC, and it looks pretty good. They then showed off Days Gone, a almost The Last of Us style storytelling kind of scene. I don't know. It looks open world. It looks like tons of zombies, actual full-on zombies, but it looks like it's going to have a very narrative-driven campaign and be a very narrative experience, which I'm very excited for. It's going to be a tale of survival in that kind of a world, and it just looks very good. It is actually coming out December 29th, which is a very weird date for it to have, but that means it is coming out this year, which is very good. They then went on to the only two real announcements they had, which is the two new games, Monster Hunter World and a Shadow of the Colossus remaster. I fucking love Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is one of my favorite franchises ever. They're games you can just go into, play for a couple hours, kill a beast, get some shit, level up. You can go at them, you can be like in a car ride, a bus ride to school, I'd play it in the morning, a freaking car ride anywhere. If I'm like on a lunch break at work, I can get on there, kill some monsters. All of it. It's insane how fun and how cool it is. Like, having a massive open world, having the big reveal for it, I cannot wait to play Monster Hunter on my PS4. Now, Shadow of the Colossus is a game I don't like. It was a game I thought was personally unfinished and empty, and I didn't think it was a good game. I understand that my opinion is not one most people share, but I do know some people that share it. It just wasn't the kind of game for me. The emptiness of it, and you being the sole person killing these colossi, made a lot of people feel like they got invested in the world. That made me feel like the world was unfinished, especially when I learned that the world was literally unfinished, and that was stuff they were supposed to put in it. I don't want to get into that for this video. I have another video on it. It just wasn't a game for me. However, a complete remaster is a good excuse for me to go back and give it another shot and try it again. Even though, like, every time that happens, my friends are going to give me shit and be like, oh, but you didn't like it when you played it. Who knows? Maybe I will this time. I don't know. Then showed off Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the new Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game. I'm not a fan of 2D fighters. I got real excited for the Dragon Ball Z one because I wanted a typical fighter game from Dragon Ball Z instead of, you know, a 3D world kind of one. But I'm not a fan of the Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom style of fighter games. I'm more of a Tekken Soul Calibur kind of guy, so I'm not super excited for this one. And the animations on it just looked wonky as hell. Seriously, I don't know who decided to do it, but like after how good Injustice looked animation-wise, Marvel vs. Capcom just looks wonky and weird. But the fighting does look pretty decent. They then showed off some more for Call of Duty World War II as they had the multiplayer reveal at E3. Now, Call of Duty World War II, I will most likely be doing my own separate video for, as I am very, very, very excited for it. All I'm going to say in here is that it looks very good. It looks like they're changing it in a lot of interesting and good ways, and it looks like it's going to be a very competent, very good shooter that I am very excited for. They then went off to show off 5 different VR games. And I'll be completely honest in saying I don't own a PlayStation VR, and even though my friends have VR, and as much as I love VR, I don't have too much interest in them. Skyrim VR, however, is interesting. It is insane. It looks cool. They're gonna repricing it at $60 full fucking dollars again to buy Skyrim, which is insane to me. But having the full Skyrim world in full VR is really, really cool, and it's something that might honestly push me towards getting a PlayStation VR. They showed off the Star Child game, which looks like a weird platformer where you look around from different angles. I don't know. I know there are platformers in VR, I've just never played one, and I don't know how well it could work. They showed The Impatient, which kind of looks like a weird horror game. They showed Fishing VR for Final Fantasy 15, which I loved Final Fantasy 15, I just don't know if that'll be good. And then they showed a tactical game called Bravo Team, which looks fantastic. The only thing for it is it's by Supermassive, the guys that made Until Dawn and are making that other game I mentioned earlier. And the last time someone showed me a military style game where it ended up being that you'd make all kinds of like actual like other choices, it ended up being Beyond Good and Evil, or not Beyond Good and Evil, Beyond Two Souls, and that game was a disappointment to me. It's not my kind of game. They went on to show off more of God of War, showing off the story for it, showing off more of the world that you're going to be in this one. It looks fantastic. The world looks interesting. It looks fun to explore. Kratos is against Norse gods now, and it's just so weird and different that it honestly looks fantastic, and I can't wait to actually get my hands on it and give it a shot and play it. They showed off Detroit Become Human, and goddamn sense, you know? Nah, I'm kidding. Really though, Detroit Become Human is a weird kind of game. When it was originally shown off, it was a girl trying to survive, and it turns out she was not an actual human. She was one of the like built android things, and she was free and trying to escape captivity. The next year they showed it off, it was an android who was like working with the police trying to talk down a hostage situation. The next time it was shown off, it's a dude starting an android revolution. It's just got so much, so weird, and so out there, I don't really know how to feel about it. I also skipped it, and that is my bad. They also showed off the Moss VR, which looks almost like a Souls style game, but in VR where you watch over a little mouse as he explores around. I'm sorry I forgot about that game. That game just honestly slipped from my mind as I was writing this. They then showed off Spider-Man. Well, they showed off a little bit of Destiny 2, but it was more of, hey, by the way, Destiny 2's the thing, and because you're on PlayStation, you get some exclusive stuff for it. And that was literally it, just at a glance. Then they moved on to Spider-Man, and man, that Spider-Man looks like a really good Batman game. I mean, honestly, it looks great, it looks fun. I've never been too big a personal fan of Spider-Man. He is a very cool and interesting character, and the movies were very decent. But it looks like a lot of literally just a Batman game with some QuickTime events. And that's it. It could be good, it could be bad. I have no idea, honestly. Based on what we've seen, I don't know which way it's going to swing. It looks decent, though. I'll give it that. They then went off to show Knack 2 and a little bit of Ni no Kuni 2 afterwards. But I don't have footage of those, because those are not games that were, you know, particularly interesting. Well, you have a little bit of Knack, but, you know. So, all in all, Sony had not too much that's coming out this year, not too much that's big, but they had enough exclusives that I think it outweighs everything. See, if you look at Microsoft, where they had 23 games, 19 were new announcements, and 0 were exclusives, you look at Sony, and you've got Uncharted's exclusive, Horizon's exclusive, Shadow's exclusive, Days Gone is exclusive, apparently Skyrim VR is exclusive, God of War, Detroit, Spider-Man, Moss, Gran Turismo Sport, Everybody's Golf. And fucking Undertale will be exclusive to it as a console. Hidden Agenda. Like, there's so many games. All those VR games they show off. There's so many games that are flat out exclusive to the PS4 that it weighs out the fact that Microsoft just showed off more games. It outweighs the fact that even though, you know, Bethesda announced a bunch of stuff, they only announced one thing truthfully, and there's 2 announcements from Sony. There's so many exclusive things that Sony, as a console instead of a publisher, had a lot more they needed to work with and a lot more to show off, and they knocked it out of the park, I felt. I felt like Sony had a very good conference this year. I feel like they're going to have a better one next year, as a lot of these games are slated for down the line, and we're not entirely sure when they will come out. Honestly, though, I'd say Sony had one of the better conferences. However, the fact of the matter is, they didn't have many announcements, and the fact that there were not that many announcements hurts them a lot. And I don't know how good everything they have will be, so I'd say it was one of the better conferences, but certainly not the best one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you join me for the Nintendo review.